Welcome to the Ideal Woman, an SID Women Ministries Department program. Today we look at yet another very important topic, and today's topic is actually an ideal woman, a crown to her husband. An ideal woman, a crown to her husband. We'll go right to the book of Proverbs chapter 12 verse 4, and I read, "An excellent wife is the crown of her husband, but she who shames him is as rottenness in his bones." An excellent woman, other versions would say a noble woman, a worthy woman, is the crown of her husband, but she who shames him is as rottenness in his bones. The phrase "a wife of noble character" appears two other times in the Old Testament. We have already looked at one of them, that is in Ruth chapter 3 verse 11, and we are now looking at yet another one, which is Proverbs chapter 12 verse 4, and there is another one in Proverbs 31 verse 10. Noble here refers to strength or firmness of character. Such internal quality manifests itself in an external crown of public honor for the husband. And here we see that the book of Proverbs, actually, the original audience for the book of Proverbs was actually male. A good wife is the crown of her husband. The Hebrew term translated "good" here refers principally to strength or power. The activities of the good wife show her to be trustworthy. It shows her to be competent, and it shows her to be industrious. Virtuous, more literally, a wife of strong character, a shet chai. The language is applied to one who is powerful, either in mind or body, or both. Both virtuous disposition and sound intellectual capability are included in the term "a virtuous wife." Yes, friends, such a wife is an honor to her husband. She adorns and beautifies his life. She adds to the social status of her husband and elevates him in the esteem of the community. There are certain men who will never be considered men until they are married. There are certain men who will never be considered as men of worth until they are married to this special woman. And through her status, their status also will be elevated. Yes, friends, the words virtuous and capable are too narrow. The best English representative of the Hebrew term is good, understood as including probity and housewifely capacity. Such a woman, it is said, is her husband's crown, his glory and joy, bringing him happiness at home and honor abroad by the excellence of her household arrangements and the respect which her character commands. The crown here signifies royal honor. The crown, the object worn on the head of a king or a queen, is actually a symbol of authority, a symbol of status, and a symbol of honor. The translations differ in the way they understand the good wife to be a crown. Some take it to mean that she gives honor to her husband. Crown here serves as a symbol of the honor she brings to the husband and home, and just the contrary to the inner canker that an unworthy wife inflicts upon her husband. On the other hand, the disgraceful wife affects the interior health of her husband. Today there are many men that have died because of the affliction they receive from their wives. Though the proverb is embedded in the patriarchal culture, its application is not limited to that context. The proverb expresses the systemic relationship between two people. The actions of one spouse profoundly influence the other. In other words, there is no place for rugged individualism in wisdom's community. Here we have a resourceful woman or a valorous wife. It is typical of the culture that her value is calculated in relationship to the male. She would be a skillful gardener and seamstress, providing food and clothing for her household. As a businesswoman, she would purchase land, plant a vineyard, and make a profit from her transactions. I don't know where we get the notion that actually in Bible times women were confined to home. They were housewives. But as we look at the book of Proverbs, they are adventurous. They do the best that their hands can handle, either at home or out or abroad. Yes, friends, she would embody the Israelite ideal of benevolence by helping the poor and the needy. She would be a wise teacher of her children, a model of strength and dignity with reverence for the Lord. The necessity of training children, as we find it in Proverbs 22 verse 6, train up a lad according to his way, and when he is old, he will not turn aside from it. The verb translated train, chanak, means to give something into the mouth, to give, to be tasted, like a mother putting food into the mouth of her child. The verb came to mean to imbue or to train. To train what? To train his ways. And to train his way does not speak primarily of the moral and spiritual path of life, but of one's nature in life. A child will be what that child will be because of what the mother would have done for that child. Yes, friends, whatever occupation he is later to follow, it is necessary to prepare him for it in his early years. Then habits are formed which influence his conduct in manhood. This maxim is an injunction to parents to consider the child's training, the child's nature, faculties, and temperament in the education which is given to him. Our word here, virtue, is derived from vir, a man, and as man is the noblest of God's creatures. Virtue expresses what is becoming to man, what is noble, what is courageous, and what is dignified. And as vir, a man, comes from vis, power or strength, merit or moral perfection, so it implies what is strong and vigorous in principle. A behavior showing high moral standard, a quality considered morally good or desirable. And in some cultures, strength and courage were considered the very highest because apparently the most necessary of all virtues. Hence, the term itself might have become the denomination of all excellent moral qualities and is now applied to whatever constitutes the system of morality and moral duties. In some parts of the world, even today, however, strength is one of the first qualifications of a wife, where the labors of the field are appointed to them. Yes, friends, it is assumed that a wife has power to build a house or to tear it down. As viewed by these sayings, a wife thus was not only a one-flesh partner to her husband and a mother of his children, but also a strong companion suitable for him. An ideal wife was regarded as worthy of praise in her own right, but she also brought great good and honor to her husband. It is certain that in ancient times, the women in Judea did some of the severest work in the fields, such as drawing water from the wells and watering the flocks. We learn of Rebecca, who was a shepherdess. She used to take care of the flock. On this account, the ways may be taken literally, and especially when we add another consideration that a woman who is healthy and of good muscular powers, is the most likely to produce and properly rear up a healthy offspring. And children of this kind are actually a crown to their parents. The exemplary wife makes her husband a king, and the capable wife brings the highest honor to her husband. Yes, friends, on the contrary, or on the other hand, the woman is honored by her husband, thus she is her husband's pride and joy. Both approaches are suitable. However, the first understanding seems more appropriate when the sense of the contrasting second line is considered in our passage. A husband who has a capable wife is respected by others, or people respect a man whose wife is actually industrious. It would be a grave mistake to limit the word virtuous to the thought of chastity only. The virtuous woman is one in whom all noble qualities shine, as set forth fully in the last chapter of the book of Proverbs. Such a woman is indeed a crown to her husband. One who by folly and slothfulness makes ashamed is like the sudden coming of old age to a man. A noble woman has a good name that is superior to wealth. Proverbs 22 verse 1, a name is to be chosen more than great riches, loving favor more than silver or gold. Context suggests that it is a good name or reputation which is to be chosen. Context suggests that it is a good reputation that a person has to go for. The Old Testament regards a good reputation as one of the most valuable assets of a person. Loving favor, literally good grace, refers to the kind of personality and character which create a favorable impression. Marriage is not finding the person with whom you can live, but finding that person with whom you can live without, Howard Hendricks says. Talking about just adjustment, how can a woman become a crown to her husband? It is all about making adjustments. One person wrote and said, a cynic once observed, all marriages are happy. It is the living together afterward that causes all the trouble. Someone also once said, the ever-living Christ is here to bless you. The nearer you keep him, the nearer you will be to one another. This is Geoffrey Francis Fisher. Again, another one says, addressing Queen Elizabeth II, says, to keep your marriage brimming with love in the loving cup. Whenever you are wrong, admit it. And whenever you are right, shut up. This was Ogden Nash. Working on it. We have to work on our marriages to a point where the wife now becomes the crown of her husband. The simplest prescription for a good marriage contains only 2 points, somebody says. Walk with the master. 1 John 1 verse 7, but if we walk in the light as he is in the light, we have fellowship with one another. Number 2, work on the marriage. Colossians 3 verse 23. Whatever you do, work at it with all your heart. Couples who do not expect to work at their relationship often have the roughest ride on the back roads of matrimony. This is William L. Coleman. Yes, friends, to those planning to marry, Jesus wants to attend your weddings. Jesus wants to live in our homes. Jesus wants to help us build our marriages to a point where the wife will become the crown of her husband. He wants to turn water into wine, that is, to transform ordinary relationships into very special ones. A Christian marriage has the presence of Jesus Christ in it, filling the house, casting his glow on the home, and making the relationship spiritual and special. And that makes all the difference. Ladies out there, whatever circumstance you find yourself in, you can be a noble woman. All you need to do is to trust Jesus, to hold on unto him, to invite him in your day-to-day activities. Yes, friends, for now it's bye. See you next week when we'll be looking at our last topic, which is the A to Z of an ideal woman. The A to Z of an ideal woman. God bless you.